Nozawa had always felt like an outsider at Forrester Creations, no matter how long she lingered in the shadow of the Forrester dynasty. Despite her growing reputation as a talented designer, she was often overlooked, relegated to assisting, shadowing, or waiting her turn. But Luna wasn't content being second-tier forever. The moment she realized her vision for fashion was no longer welcome within the Forrester framework, she made a decision that would ignite a war. She would strike out on her own. Her brand. Her name. Her rules. Nozawa Couture. It started with whispers. Quiet conversations over coffee with disillusioned Forrester interns and freelancers, those tired of being overshadowed by the Logan Forrester power axis. Luna was strategic. She didn't go after the top brass. She targeted the core. The rising stars who wanted a place where they could shine. She pitched them on something new, raw, and unpolished. A brand that represented rebellion against the establishment. And many of them listened. A few signed on immediately, leaving Forrester Creations in a silent exodus that raised eyebrows across the design floor. But Luna wasn't just building a fashion line. She was building leverage, and she needed funding. That's when she turned to the one person who had always shown her kindness and compassion, Dr. John Finn Finnegan. Luna waited until Finn was home alone, just finishing up a hospital shift. She came to the house, portfolio in hand, ambition on fire. Her pitch was sincere and passionate. She didn't ask him to invest just because he was her biological father. She asked because she believed in her brand. She laid out her plan, from branding to distribution. She told him about the recruits she already had from Forrester. And most of all, she told him that staying in Los Angeles, near him, was part of her dream. Her new company wasn't just about fashion. It was about finally building a future near the family she had always longed for. Finn was floored. He had never imagined Luna as a CEO, but her energy was undeniable. Her proposal was solid. She wasn't chasing fame, she was chasing independence. And the idea of supporting her, helping her become her own woman, moved something deep in him. Finn told her he needed to think about it, but inside, he had already decided. He wanted to help her. But Steffi Forrester had come home early. She had been searching for Finn after he missed a lunch meeting and decided to stop by unexpectedly. The moment she opened the front door, she heard voices. She followed the sound to the living room, and what she heard stunned her. Finn, Luna, this is incredible. You've really thought this through. I want to help. If this is your dream, that was as far as he got. Steffi burst into the room, her eyes sharp with fury, her voice loud and unforgiving. What the hell is going on? Luna rose from her chair, startled. Finn stood, confused but not ashamed. Steffi, it's not what you think, no. Steffi snapped. Because it sounds like you're about to hand over money to the girl who's been hanging around our family, causing drama since day one. Luna tried to speak. Steffi, I'm not. Don't. Steffi cut her off. Don't pretend this is just business. You're clinging to Finn, using him, manipulating him to stay close. I see exactly what you're doing, and I won't allow it. Luna's eyes welled with anger. I'm trying to build something of my own. Then do it without my husband's money. Steffi shouted. The room went silent. Then, without hesitation, Steffi stepped forward and slapped Luna across the face. The sound cracked through the air like a gunshot. Luna staggered back, stunned and breathless. Stay away from my husband, Steffi hissed. Finn stepped between them. Steffi, what the hell are you doing? She's using you, Finn. No, Finn said firmly, she's trying to start a business. She's doing something with her life, something positive. She's doing it through you. She's my daughter, he shouted, his voice louder than Steffi had ever heard. I'm proud of her. For the first time since she came into my life, she's not lost. She has a plan. She has a purpose. And if I want to help her, I will. Steffi looked like she'd been struck herself. So you're taking her side? Finn didn't blink. I'm not taking sides. I'm supporting my daughter. And with that, the fracture in their marriage cracked wide open. Over the following days, the fallout was immediate. Steffi moved out, taking the kids with her. She told Ridge and Taylor everything. The family was split. Some sided with her, especially Thomas, who was already enraged over Luna recruiting Forrester employees. Others, like Brooke, felt Steffi had crossed a line by striking Luna. Luna launched Nozawa Couture 2 weeks later with a bold press release, a teaser video, and an edgy campaign that contrasted the youthful energy of her brand against the stale luxury of Forrester creations. The media devoured it. Fashion blogs called her the next revolution. Magazines labeled her a threat to Forrester dominance. And worse for Steffi, the funding behind Luna's company was no longer a secret. Word got out. Finn was one of the initial investors. That single detail lit the match to the public feud between the two women. Interviews started. Statements flew. "We wish Luna well," said Ridge publicly. "But we believe in our legacy and our vision." Privately, he was furious. Forrester Creations was leaking talent, and Luna was already in talks with retailers that once exclusively partnered with the Forresters. Finn and Steffi barely spoke. When they did, it was cold and clipped. At one meeting meant to mediate, Steffi said, "If you don't pull your funding, this marriage is over." Finn refused. "You're asking me to abandon my daughter." "I won't." "Then maybe you already abandoned me," Steffi said quietly before walking out. Divorce lawyers were mentioned. Papers were drafted, but not filed. Hope tried to intervene, but Steffi shut her down. Brooke tried to talk sense into Finn, but he stood firm. Luna, caught in the middle, considered walking away. She hadn't meant to destroy a marriage. But when she saw the way the industry reacted to her designs, when she heard people calling her collection fresh, honest, authentic, she knew she couldn't stop. The war was bigger than her now. She had something to prove. To Steffi. To the Forresters. To herself. She wasn't going anywhere. Not now. Not ever. In the hushed stillness of Forrester Creations' grand lobby, a single, fragile note of music lingered in the air long after the speakers had fallen silent, binding two disparate moments in time with a thread of bittersweet recognition. It was the very same melody that had haunted Ridge in his most desperate hour, the song that had swelled around him as Caroline Spencer drew her final breath in his arms, and now, inexplicably, it echoed through the final scene between Hope Logan and Liam Spencer. Fans who caught that subtle, heartrending motif in episode 834 couldn't help but wonder whether the writers meant to send a message far more profound than mere coincidence. The juxtaposition of life and death, hope and despair, resonated like a challenge to the faithful viewers. What really lies beneath this cleverly orchestrated nod to BNB's storied past? Was it simply a nostalgic wink, or a chilling harbinger of tragedy yet to come for Liam himself? As whispers swirled across coffee-stained message boards and social feeds, one question loomed above them all. Could Liam be destined for the same cruel fate as Caroline, or is there a twist that will bend the narrative beyond our darkest imaginings? Despite the mounting suspense, the talented Scott Clifton, ever modest yet fiercely protective of his character, has publicly assured fans that he has no plans to exit the show anytime soon. That statement alone did little to quell the undercurrents of speculation. After all, in the world of long-running daytime drama, actors can vanish without a trace, only to return years later as surprising new arrivals. Or even Fall Guy villains ready to upend the entire balance of power. Some theorists have gone so far as to propose that if Liam were to die, it might not be the death we expect, but rather the catalyst for unveiling a secret long buried. A twin brother, separated at birth, hidden away from the world and primed for a heart-stopping return that would shake Los Angeles to its core. The very idea teases at the genre's greatest delight, that nothing is ever truly lost, and every ending conceals the genesis of a new, even more sensational drama. Meanwhile, the tremors of potential loss have only underscored the combustible romantic geography at the center of this saga. Liam stands at the crossroads of two fierce loves. Hope, whose loyalty and tenderness have weathered more storms than most could imagine, and Steffi, whose fire and unyielding devotion have made her every bit as indelible a part of his heart. Yet there's another name now reverberating through the halls of Spencer Publications, Luna. Bill Spencer, once oblivious to the existence of this daughter born in the crucible of youthful mistake and subsequent heartbreak, now finds himself a reluctant confidant to her ambitions. Luna's decision to launch Nozawa Couture, her own design house that brazenly poaches Forrester talent, speaks to her desire not only for independence, but also for recognition from the father who barely knew she existed. As Luna's couture line begins to ignite a fashion war with Forrester Creations itself, she clings to Finn's goodwill, and possibly much more than friendship, to secure the investment she needs. Yet when Steffi, driven by a survivor's instinct, overhears Luna's calculated appeal for capital, the confrontation that ensues threatens to expose more than just financial scheming. It could fracture alliances and loyalties that have taken decades to build. It is in this volatile mix, where love, ambition, and legacy intersect, that the specter of Liam's supposed demise casts its longest shadow. Should he succumb to a brain tumor, as some grim rumors suggest, the reverberations would extend far beyond Steffi's despair or Hope's grief. His children would be orphaned, his family bereft, and the foundation he envisioned to honor his mother's memory would flounder without its passionate champion. Yet even death in the soap opera world tends to be only a prologue to a revelation. Secret siblings awakening from obscurity, villains crafting their next grand betrayal, or lost loves rekindling across continents. Rumors swirl that Bill, ignorant not only of Luna but perhaps of twins lying in wait, may soon discover that his legacy is far more complicated and potentially far more explosive than he ever imagined. Of course, the suggestion of Liam's mortality does more than stoke fan theories. It fuels the narrative engines of every other player on the canvas. Katie's recent, jaw-dropping coup, romantically stealing Carter from Daphne Rose, the woman who had long stood by him, seemed, at first, like nothing more than another episode of corporate and personal one-upmanship in this town of swaggering egos. Yet, in the wake of the music's mournful reprise and the chilling parallels to Caroline's final moments, even Katie's latest triumph now carries an air of cynical inevitability. If Liam were to vanish, Carter's heart would churn with guilt, Daphne's pride would shatter, and Katie's victory would taste of ashes. Each character's choice, every whispered secret, becomes electrified with the possibility of seismic loss. Among the murmurs on social media, two theories climb to prominence. One, that Liam faces a terminal diagnosis that will demand the full force of his resilience and the love of his chosen family. The other, that the twin brother Gambit will save him in the nick of time, only to unleash a cascade of chaos as he re-enters the fray under a different name or guise. If the former, viewers brace for a story of sacrifice, heroism, and the cruelest kind of farewell. If the latter, they anticipate an explosive return that would upend every alliance and ignite new rivalries, from the boardroom of Forrester Creations to the sanctity of intimate bedchambers. Either way, The writers have succeeded in turning a simple piece of music into a drumbeat of anticipation that unites every corner of the fan community in both dread and exhilaration. And so the question remains, what will Liam do next? Will he confront the possibility of his own mortality with the same fierce dignity he's shown in every other trial? Or will he disappear into shadow, only to reemerge with a startling secret that no one least of all Hope, Steffi, or his imperious father saw coming? Given the genre's proud tradition of reinvention, it is tempting to place one's bet on resurrection rather than eruption. But however his story unfolds, the impact of Liam's fate will ripple outwards, affecting every character from Ridge to Quinn, from Bill to Brooke, and from Luna to the twin we may or may not yet know. After all, in the sprawling tapestry of the bold and the beautiful, every love unfulfilled and every life appended writes the next chapter of a never-ending epic. For fans tuning in to episode 834, the music may have been a beautiful echo of loss, but it was also a clarion call to brace for the unimaginable. Whether it signals the end of Liam's journey or the beginning of an even more intricate twist, one thing is certain: nothing on this canvas is ever left unresolved. As the final notes faded, the silence that followed spoke of uncharted territory, where grief and hope collide, and where the bond between past and present can forge either tragedy or triumph. And in the hush before the next scene, every viewer holds their breath, waiting to discover whether Liam Spencer's story will echo Caroline Spencer's final moments, or diverge into new realms of possibility that redefine what it means to live, to love, and to endure in the endlessly dramatic world of Los Angeles's most glamorous families.